to our Jaiva Dharma reading. And today is the 13th of March 2024. And we're still in Surabhi Kunj, and we're still getting a shower of mercy from Bhaktivinoda Thakur that we want to share with you as much as possible. So we'll have a kirtan first, and then we'll continue our reading. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari O Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo Hare Ramo 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Oh Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Hare Bol, Gaura Hare Bol. Jaya Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai, Nityananda Rai, Jaya Nityananda Rai. Oh Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He, Nitai He. Oh Jaya Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari, Sachinandan Jaya Gaura Hari. Gaura He, 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 Gaura He. Oh Jaya Radha, Madana Mohan Radha, Madana Mohan Radhe. Jaya Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe Vrishabhanu Nandini Radhe Radhe. Oh Radhe 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 Radhe. Jai Shri Shri Guru Garanga Ganhavika Giridhari Radha Madan Mohan Ju ki jai. Brishabhana Nandini Vajeshwari Radharani ki jai. Jai Nityananda Rai ki jai. Satchinandana Gaudahari ki jai. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Surabhi Kunj ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om. Astotar Shishimad. Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om. Astotar Shishimad. Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Nitya Lila Pravishta Om. Astotar Shishimad. Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai Jagat Guru Nitya Lila Pravishta Om. Astotar Shishimad. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Paramahamsa Mahabhagavat Srila Gaurikishodas Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Saptam Goswami Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Jai Vaishnav Sabhaboma Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jai Srila Baladev Vidibhushan Gaudiya Vedanta Acharya ki jai. Jai Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur ki jai. Jai Narottam Srinivas Shyamananda Prabhu Treya ki jai. Jai Srila Krishna's Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Jai Shri Rup Sanatan Shibata Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhata Dasa Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu's ki jai. Jai Swarup Damodar Rai Ramananda Gauda Parsada ki jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem Siga Hosi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Shri Gauda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Antadvip Mayapur Simantadvip Gaudamdvip Madhyadvip Koladvip Ritujip Janadvip Modamdvip Rudurvip Atmakanavadvip Dham ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Go Govardhan Dwarasavar Matmika Shri Brajamandal ki jai. Shri Radhakun Shamakun Ganga Jamuna Devi Tulsi Devi Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shrimati Brinda Devi Maharani ki jai. Shrimati Yogamaya Purnamasi Devi Maharani ki jai. Gopishwa Mahadev ki jai. Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki jai. Ketra Mandal ki jai. Sarva Vigna Vinashakari Shina Shingadev Bhagavan ki jai. Bhakta Prabha Shri Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. Charidam ki jai. Chari Sampradaya ki jai. Chari Acharya ki jai. Akara Mataraj Shri Chaitanya Mat ki jai. Shri Keshav Ji Gaudiya Mat ki jai. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagat Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Anantakota Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Om Agina Timirandasya Gyananjala Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Jaina Tasmaya Shri Guruve Namaha Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tarabhaktaya Namo Namaha Priya Surupe Daita Surupe Prema Surupe Sahajabi Rupe Nijana Rupe Prabhueka Rupe Tatana Rupe Swavilasa Rupe Anapita Chirim Chirat Kurunavaratino Kalo Samarpaitam Unnata Ujvalar Samsvabhakti Shriyam Hari Purata Sundara Dudikatamba Satipita Sada Hridare Kandare Spudatu Vasachinandanaha Yam Pravajantam Anapetyam Apeti Krityam Dvaipaino Viraha Katara Ajuhava Putre Titam Mayatayo Tarabo Binirustam Sarvabhutam Hridim Munimanatoshmi Bhaktiya Vihina Aparada Lakshay Shiptascha Karmarita Rangamadye Kripa Maitvam Sharanam Prapana Brinde Namaste Charanarvindam Bhajami Radham Aravinda Netram Smarami Radham Madhurashmitasyam Vadami Radham Karuna Varadram Tato Mamanasti Katyana Kapi Tavaivasmi Najivami Tvaivina Iti Vignaya Radhe Tvam Nayamam Charanantikam. I'm first of all offering millions and millions of Dandavat pranams unto the lotus feet of my beloved Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. And I'm offering the same again millions and millions of times unto the lotus feet of our beloved Nityalila Pravishta Om, Asto Tarasara Shishimad, Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And I'm offering the same again unto our dearmost Namo Bhakti Vinodaya, Satchidanandanamane Gauda Shakti Swarupaya Rupanuga Vrayate, and to all our esteemed Rupanuga Guru Vargya, and all the Vaishnav and Vaishnavi devotees of the Lord, my Dandavat pranams to all of you. Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha, Kripa Sindhavevacha, Patitanam Pavnevyo Vaishnavena Namaha. So, coming to our Jaiva Dharma, Falshruti, and we're up to page 831, and it's at the last four verses. So yesterday we didn't even touch on the text, and that wasn't a planned arrangement. It's just confirmation how this Falshruti is so loaded with different appreciations if we read it carefully. I've said a few times we've been reading this now since almost 12 months, every single day. And every single day there are a newer and newer, fresher appreciations of each verse manifesting. This is the nature of a transcendental scripture. It's ever fresh. We say like Naveen Krishna. Naveen Krishna means ever fresh. Krishna is ever fresh. This Granta is ever fresh. So we're starting at the top of page 831. Jaiva Dhamma Pateshe Shuddha Bhakti Hoy. Jaiva Dhamma na Padile Kabe Bhakti Noy. One who reads Jaiva Dharma with faithful deliberation will surely attain Shuddha Bhakti. But one who does not read Jaiva Dharma can never attain Bhakti. Since we've been doing these classes, Prabhuji has volunteered to finish the translation into German of Jaiva Dharma. And today I got a link of someone who's translating all the classes into Russian. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Dara is going out from Surabhikunj by his arrangement, somehow or other. It's very wonderful. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written this Grantha for this age. And if one faithfully reads it, that means without a doubt, knowing that this is an eternal Shastra, with faithful deliberation, one can attain Shuddha Bhakti. But if one doesn't read Jaiva Dharma, he can never attain Bhakti. So that's a very bold statement. But the point of that is that in Jaiva Dharma are all the Shastras. It's saying itself like a jar containing all the oceans. The essence of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, all essence is here. Bhaktivinoda Thakur quotes so extensively. These are the direct instructions of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu via Rupa Goswami, all the way through. This is all that we actually need. This, and of course, supported by Srimad Bhagavatam, supported by Chaitanya Charitamrita, but there isn't another such concise compendium of all the instructions together for the challenged individuals of Kali Yuga who never seem to have enough time because these phones and pollution and everything else just grab the mind and chase it away. So this particular book, we even put it on Bible paper so it can be easily portable around. So let's hope that we can hold on to the mood of always taking shelter of Jaiva Dharma. Rupa Nuga Abhiman Pate Drita Hoy Jaiva Dharma Vimukake Dharma Hine Koi. Faithfully again, we've had faithful twice already now. Faithfully reading Jaiva Dharma will surely strengthen one's Abhiman as a Rupa Nuga, follower of Rupa Goswami. Without this conception of following Rupa Goswami, we have zero. All of Mahaprabhu's teachings, principally, of course, the Shikshastakam, but all of his physical teachings to the devotees were assimilated by Rupa Goswami. What was the gift of Mahaprabhu? This anapita chirim chirat kurunai varitinokalo, samara paitam unata ujvala ras. Mahaprabhu himself is tasting that Unnata Ujjvala Rasa, and he's giving us Swabhakti Shriyam. He's giving us service to that ras. Never is he giving us that ras. He is himself tasting and experiencing that through the mood and bhav and kanti of Sri Radhika. Mahaprabhu is advented to taste prem. He's the Prem Purushottam. Krishna is Leela Purushottam. Mahaprabhu is Prem Shura Purushottam. He's giving Prem. Krishna, when he was on the planet 5,000 years ago, was just experiencing the Leelas in Vrindavan with the gopis, etc., with Nanda Baba, Yashoda Ma. He was relishing the Vrindavan pastimes, and he wasn't distributing this. This isn't what he was distributing. He came to relieve Mother Earth of the warring armies, Parityanaya Sadhanam, Vinishaya Chadustrikam. That's why he came, to arrange for this Mahabharat war, where so many 640 million people died on that battlefield. So this was his intention. It wasn't his intention to distribute the sweetness of his Vrindavan Leela, but Mahaprabhu has come to do that. This is the gift of Mahaprabhu. to open up that Leela. Who understood Krishna's Leela 5,000 years ago? Maybe some Brijabasis would wander into Mathura and, like the flower seller, etc., they came from these distant places and they'd heard about Krishna. But this is very rare. It wasn't like even hundreds of people. Uddhav, he saw Vrindavan, but practically nobody else. Maybe some Siddha Purushas appreciated Vrindavan, because we see what happens after Krishna. They were the 12 Alvars in South India after Krishna, carrying the current of bhakti through. And then there was Lord Buddha, because the Brahmins had begun abusing these sacrifices and taking the meat. And then there was the second Buddha, Sakasingha Buddha came. And then Sankaracharya had to come to bring the Vedas back into India. And then we have the four Sampradayas, Ramanuja, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbaditya, these four Sampradayas who were again establishing the principle of personal worship. Because this Advaitavad that Sankaracharya had been carrying had practically eroded. Sankaracharya was practically preaching a covered Buddhism. It was like very impersonal. So Ramanuja began, Vaishishta Advaitavad, he began saying, no, there's a speciality in the oneness. Then Madhvacharya very boldly saying, no, it's two. It's Krishna and the Jiva. So then it began from there. Then Vishnu Swami elaborated more and Nimbaditya even more. But then Mahaprabhu was the pinnacle of that. Mahaprabhu brought the essence of Rag Marg. This was not really being practiced previously. We have to appreciate how incredibly special this particular time is. I mean, it's just, I just get amazed daily when I appreciate, how did I get the fortune to take birth now? It's so rare. Rag Marg was practically not practiced previous to Mahaprabhu. Jayadev Goswami, he wrote so beautifully, but he couldn't write Smaragarala Kandanam, Mama Sirasi, what is it? Deha Pala Palavam. He couldn't write this. Mama Sirasi Kandalam, Deha Pala Palavam, Udaram. This beautiful verse that Krishna is putting his head and peacock feather and flute at the lotus feet of Srimati Radhika. He couldn't write it. Smaragarala Kandanam, Mama Sirasi Mandanam, Dehi Pada Palavam Udaram. This is the verse. It's got a bit rusty in the mind. So this verse, he couldn't write it. And this was in what, the 13th, 14th century. So he was a very Rasik personality. But even he didn't have that understanding of what is the nature of Parakiya Bhav. This was only brought and substantiated here by Krishna himself in the form of Sachinandan Gaurahari. No one else could give that because it was such a radical conception. Imagine the Paka Indian Brahmin Vaishnavas suddenly thinking that Krishna is dancing with other men's wives. Even Jiva Goswami, he had to make special accommodation for so many of his followers who could not begin. It's like a process to appreciate that truth. It's not something that you can just grab it and just say, yes, I understand it. But by the mercy of Mahaprabhu, and particularly, as we're always mentioning, the mercy of Harinam, with the power of Harinam. Harinam in this age, Harinam has always been there. But in this age, it's empowered by Mahaprabhu. What is the empowerment? Ultimately, to be able to withstand the separation between Radha and Krishna, like Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami was empowered like this to actually be able to contain the vision, even in extreme separation. There's an example in the Radha Damodar temple when Raghunath Bhatta Goswami used to recite the Bhagavatam in 4 or 5 different beautiful melodies. And all the devotees were just falling down in complete ecstasy. But Rupa Goswami was sitting like a rock. And some devotees were thinking, oh, perhaps he's not catching the flavor of this. And then they put a cotton ball under his nose and it just burst into flame. But he had the benediction, what do we call, from Mahaprabhu, the benediction to be able to withstand this separation mood so he could write. Shukadeva Goswami couldn't write. He couldn't even mention the name Radha. Anaya Radhito Nunam Bhagavan Hare Ishvara. Only this time he alluded to it in the Bhagavatam. But he couldn't write directly about Radhika. Otherwise, he'd go into complete ecstasy, and Parikshit Maharaj, his 7 days would be expired, and he wouldn't have had the whole Bhagavatam. So Shukadev couldn't even say the name Radha. But Rupa Goswami, he can say the name everywhere because of the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we are recipients of Rupa Goswami. It's saying, Rupa Nuga, one will surely strengthen one's abhiman as a Rupa Nuga. We are Rupa Nuga. Bhaktas, we're in this line, this Rupa Nuga line. We say every day this beautiful, all our Guru Vargya personalities. And we say constantly, their eternal identities have all been revealed. Every single one of them is a manjari. Why? Because this was the gift of Mahaprabhu. You cannot get manjari bhav from a Saki. You can get Saki bhav. But who are the Sakis who are giving that bhav? Did Swarup Damodar and Rai Ramananda give? Is there a whole line for them giving Saki bhav? My Gurudev explains very clearly that there must be greed to attain this, lobe, but there must be a lobi, a person who is giving that greed. There must be that person who's giving it. So in our line, Mahaprabhu is giving Swa Bhakti Shriyam. This is what this verse is written by Rupa Goswami. This is his introduction verse to Vidagdha Madhav. He's giving this. And this is the gift that he's come to Rag Mag Bhakti Loke Karite Prachan. Mahaprabhu has come to give this Raganuga Bhakti through this Guru Vargya. And he's come to give specifically the opportunity to begin the journey towards Manjari Bhav. My Gurudev has given his identity, Raman Manjari. Why should we hide it? The identity's there. The identity of Bhaktivinoda Thakur himself, Kamala Manjari. He says it on so many different pages in his bhajans. This is our path. Mahaprabhu didn't come to give Vaidhi Bhakti. Advaita Acharya and Nityananda, they are giving Shuddha Bhakti. They are not giving Braja Prem. They are pointing us in the direction of where we can get Braja Prem. Heino Nitai Bine Bai Radha Krishna Paite Nai. Without going through Nityananda, you can't come to this path of Braja Prem. But Nityananda himself isn't directly giving this Braja Prem. He leaves that to his exalted brother, Sachinandan Gaurahari. These are the truths. These are the truths that we have heard from our Gurudev, and this is the truth that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is revealing exactly the same. There's no difference. So this Rupa Nuga, a follower of Rupa Goswami, one who is averse to reading Jaiva Dharma, is certainly devoid of religious principles. Again, he said it twice in 2 different verses. If you're averse, then it means that you have no attraction to what is pure spiritual reality or life, that you don't really want to reach transcendence. Okay, so we just must accept that we are so blessed to have a little bit of adhikar, to be hearing these topics. Java jivane je pade jaiva dharma, bhakti man se jana brita jnana karma. One who faithfully, 3rd time in 3 different verses, faithfully again, reads Jaiva Dharma throughout his entire life will be endowed with bhakti and will surely realize the futility of gyan and karma. Bhaktivinoda Thakur talks a lot about this because this is the only option if you don't take to the path of bhakti. It's this nirvishesh brahm option. If you don't, there's bhukti, mukti, spriha yavat, pischachi, bhartate. These witches of bhukti and mukti. And what is mukti? Ultimately is nirvishesh brahm. And this bhukti is karma, right? So karma, this desires for material pleasure. Everyone is following one of these paths in life, either bhukti, material pleasure, or the mukti, that nirvishesh focus in the Brahman of annihilating this personal nature of reality, or bhakti. Only those 3 paths. Everyone. No one is following anything other than those 3. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is repeatedly denegating, putting this path of jnana and karma in its place. He's described very beautifully in the 13th chapter and the 12th chapter the ladder coming from karma mishra bhakti to karma bhakti to gyan mishra bhakti to gyan, etc. And if these practices are focusing on bhakti, then they're steps on the ladder to bhakti. But if those practices are taken out of the ladder, you understand? If they're taken out of the steps and they become a separate sort of like entity, then this is going to lead to devastation of the mind. It won't lead to transcendence. He says it very clearly. He talks a lot about this, especially in that beautiful book, Bhakti Tattva Vivek. In Bhakti Tattva Vivek, specifically, he speaks about just the 4 verses of Anyabhilashita Shunyam. Krishna Ramala Seva Labi Senara Seva Suke Magnaraha Sada Krishna Para. Such a man, being fully devoted to Sri Sri Radha Krishna Yugal Kishore and having attained their Amal Prem Seva, remains forever merged in the bliss of such immaculate loving service. This is the conclusion. This is the Siddhantic conclusion that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to lead us to. So now we come back to our subject matter in time today. So we're on to page 318, and we're working through this Shakti Tattva. And I think with every sentence, our appreciation for the personality who embodies Shakti, which is Sri Radhika, should be manifesting more strongly in our hearts. It's all about Radhika. Shakti Tattva means Radharani. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is really opening this out in such a clear, analytical way. It's very amazing. And it's a little twisty to begin with, catching all the terminologies and so on. It's like vocabulary we have to just absorb initially. What is Chit Shakti? What is Maya Shakti? What is Jiva Shakti? And how they're all manifesting from Swarup Shakti. Everything is manifesting from Swarup Shakti. And I've constantly made the example of the heat from the sun. The sun planet is the Shaktiman. The sun planet is producing the heat, and the heat is dependent on the sun completely, right? But the sun is not dependent on the heat. The sun is independent. So Krishna is Shaktiman. Krishna is independent. But the Shakti itself is totally dependent on the heat. Therefore, the Shakti is attracting the Shaktiman by her immense affection and love. Krishna was not in love with Radhika independently. Radhika gave that tremendous mood and feeling of attraction to Krishna, and Krishna reciprocates with Radhika. Krishna falls in love with Radhika completely in the Leela because of Radhika's extensive affection and attraction to him. One time in Vidagdha Madha, Rupa Goswami is describing, right at the very beginning of their relationship, Radhika is very insecure, you can say, just as a simple word. She's kind of attracted to Krishna, but not especially. But Krishna is immensely, Radhika is immensely attracted to Krishna. And Krishna's hiding in the bushes with Madhu Mangal just to watch Radhika's moods. And Radhika is embracing a tamal tree, thinking that it's Krishna. And she's fainting when she just hears the name Krishna. And then she has that wonderful experience where she sees Krishna as a cowherd boy, and she falls in love with him. And then she sees a painting, and she falls in love with that also. And then she hears that flute song, and she falls in love with that also. Then she condemns herself so harshly. Now you're such an unchaste person. Now you've fallen in love with 3 separate men. And she's so lamentable that she wants to go and take her life in the Jamuna. Then Lalita comes, Arai, why are you like this? It's all the same person. And then Radhika, her bliss and relief that it's all the same person is there. But her love for Krishna, Rupa Goswami really, really brings out, particularly in Vidagdha Madha. He brings out so strong. And it's this love of Radhika that attracts Krishna. So now we're going through the tattva of that, like the heat of the sun. The heat is attracted to the sun. The heat is not directly the sun planet. There's a distinction, like when you see a candle. There's three components. There's the flame, there's the energy, which is the heat, then there's the light. And then there's three components we were saying just yesterday: Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. These three divisions like that. It's the same, parallel. But ultimately, Sri Radhika is that energy. And it's her who's manifesting all the worlds. And this chapter 14 is an explanation of that. All the aspects of the Jiva Tattva, how the Sandini is acting on the Jiva Tattva, giving him his minute form, acting in the form of knowledge in Sangvit Shakti, acting in the form of bliss in Hladini Shakti, and then in the material domain, all the different planets in the Brahmand are all manifesting from Sandini Shakti. But Sandini Shakti, the Ishtadev is Baladev. But where does Baladev come from? He's a manifestation of Swarup Shakti, isn't he? He's not a separate manifestation. There's only two separate manifestations from Krishna. You remember? Gopishwa Mahadev and Sri Radhika. Only these two. Gopishwa Mahadev manifests from Krishna's right-hand side to protect the Rasastali at Vamsivat. And Sri Radhika manifests from Krishna's left-hand side and immediately runs to Krishna in attraction. And that same Radhika is the manifestation of all the energies in existence. She is Swarup Shakti. And she is only out of a desire to please Krishna. Every atom of her being is only desirous of bringing Krishna pleasure. Nothing else is there. Nothing else is there. That's why ultimately the great Mahajans, the great devotees in our line, follow Sri Radhika, because we want that devotion, that one-pointed hunger to please Sri Radhika, who is pleasing Krishna the most. Her name, Aradeyo, means she worships that personality more than anyone. So these truths are all being brought out here. So yesterday we were discussing, well, first of all, if we backtrack, because I missed yesterday, because we got distracted in the Falshruti. But on page 317, it's describing how amazing is Krishna, being able to contain all opposites in existence. He can walk and he can be stationary at the same time. Karmani anihasya bhavo vasyate. He works and he doesn't work. He's born and he's not born. And he's renounced, yet he lives with 16,000 queens. He's the supreme controller, yet Mother Yashoda binds him. These are such intense contradictions. And we were describing that just by the potency and mercy of the holy name itself, the devotees are able to go with this mood. We're able to accept these huge distinctions between Krishna as in Tattva Vichar and Krishna in Rasa Vichar. These two huge distinctions of nature in Krishna. Krishna being totally submissive to Radhika's man. When Radhika is in man, Krishna has so hard. He has to roll his sleeves up and really fully dedicate his full attention. She frightens him. Krishna is described in when Krishna is dancing. What is it? Vrinda Devi is telling Radhika. Radhika is asking Vrinda, what is Krishna doing? Oh, he's dancing. Oh, where is he dancing? Oh, he's dancing in Radhakund. Oh, and who is his teacher? Oh, you, Sri Radhika. He's seeing you in every leaf, in every atom around him, with your stick of man to check him if he makes any wrong moves. But Krishna is the supreme controller. At the same time, he's being controlled. This is like the sun planet that generates the heat, is somehow or other now being controlled by the heat. These are huge conceptions for the consciousness, and we can assimilate it by the mercy of Guru, by the mercy of Vaishnavas, and by the mercy of Nam. By the mercy of Nam, we can somehow feel comfortable with these contrasting conceptions. So this is what we were reading about on page 317. And then yesterday, just at the very end, we read this translation. I'll just read it again now. So it's the last thing we read yesterday. This is at the top of 318. That Paramatma has no material hands or legs, but he accepts everything with his transcendental hands and goes everywhere with his transcendental legs. He has no material eyes or ears, yet he sees and hears everything with his transcendental eyes and ears. He knows all that is to be known and the activities of everything, but no one can know him unless he reveals himself. Yes, this Avaroha Panta, this descending truth is our line. We are not trying to climb up to Krishna as great demons like Ravana in the past did. We are trying to bow our heads to receive that infusion of kripa, of mercy from Krishna. And only then, in a moment, we can understand him. Not understand him, but love him. Understanding, we often say, is not our goal to understand, it's to appreciate. To understand means like we want to capture it and put it in our pocket, like own it. That's not the process, really. The process is to fall in love with Krishna, to fall in love with Vrindavan, to fall in love with the residents of Braj. Yes, it's that power of attraction. That is pure devotional service, that power of attraction. What we say that verse yesterday, Bhaktya mam abhijananti yavan yaschasmi tatvadaha tato mam tatvato natva. What is the last line? We're gone. Anyway, only by pure devotion can Krishna be achieved. So we have to know, what is that devotion? How can we achieve him? How can we connect with him? But no one can know him unless he reveals himself. The transcendentalists who know Brahm call him the original personality, the great Purush, who is the cause of all causes. So here again, this is almost like a contradiction. I was sharing yesterday or the day before how, again in Vidagdha Madhav, Madhumangal, when Krishna is melting the rocks and bringing all the blossoms from the trees with the sound vibration of his flute, and everyone is becoming stunned, and Madhumangal pushes him. Hey, don't become proud. Don't think it's you that's doing that. This is the beautiful flute that's doing that. What is this relationship that Madhumangal has with Krishna that he can say something like that? It's so much love that he has that he can say like that. And Krishna is very happy to hear that. He likes that mood. Madhumangal knows that. So these sorts of considerations. In the Isha Upanishad, we find the following statements. Tad ejati tan, naijati tad dur, tad vantike, tad antar I asya sarvasya tad usarvyasya ba bayata. Isha Upanishad 5. That Parameshwara walks, and yet he does not walk. He is further than the furthest, yet he is also nearer than the nearest. He is within everything and at the same time outside of everything. This is how the qualities of the spiritual world are perfectly resolved, although they appear to contradict each other. We can't understand it. Don't try to understand it. It's completely astonishing if we just appreciate it deeply. This is the nature of the spiritual world. The only way we can appreciate it is to realize our utter insignificance and how small we are. If we think that we are something special and have some sort of high esteem for ourselves, then we're going to be giving ourselves credence for understanding these topics. But we can't understand these topics. We can't understand these topics, but we can hear them and we can get some picture and we can appreciate something to deepen our prayer to deepen our worship towards Krishna in the hope of receiving the kripa, the mercy of Krishna, to move to a more connected relationship with Krishna. It's all relationship exclusively with Krishna. Sa parayajak chakuram akyam avranam ashnavarim viram shudam apapa vidam kavir manisi paribu swayambhu yata atayato ritan vyadajak chashvatya samavya Isha Upanishad 8. That Paramatma is omnipresent and pure. He has no material form, and he has an eternal transcendental form full of knowledge and bliss. I explained before that sometimes Paramatma is mentioned in place of Sri Krishna. It's not specifically talking about the Supersoul as Paramatma. It's talking about here Paramatma as being that all-pervasive Brahm, that all-pervasive form of Krishna. But at the same time, it's saying here, he has no material form. So this is not Bhagavan of that we understand Brajendranandan Shyam Sundara. He has an eternal transcendental form full of knowledge and bliss. There's two distinctions here. This body has no veins or holes and is beyond all designation. He is the primeval sage and poet. Primeval means eternally existing. Sage and poet. He is omniscient and he appears by his own desire. This is what Krishna has. This is what Shaktiman has. This is like going back to the analogy of the sun planet. The sun planet has independent desire, and it's that independent desire that inspires Shakti to act. The Shakti acts according to the independent desire of Shaktiman. Try to catch that idea, that conception. And then we start to appreciate this, we can say, divine picture, you know. And he appears by his own desire. He is situated on the highest platform, and he controls everything. By his inconceivable potency, he maintains everything throughout eternity and engages all others to work according to their qualities. He engages everybody through the Swarup Shakti. We've already read, we've already concluded how the Sandini Shakti is acting on the Jivas, how the Sangvit Shakti is acting on the Jivas, how the Hladini Shakti is acting on the Jiva. This is what's all described, what we've just been through. This is a very clear description of the way that Shakti Tattva, this chapter is titled Shakti Tattva. It's describing how these Shaktis manifest on the Jivas and in the world, right? This is what it's doing. We need to read this chapter many times, really, again and again. If it wakes up a curiosity about this, that's good. If we have the appreciation, I don't really understand it, that's good. That's good. That means we're being honest about it and we're trying to actually come to a deeper appreciation of the text. Brajanath, is there any description in the Vedas of Bhagavan who is completely independent, appearing in this material world of his own volition? You understand the question? Is it Bhagavan who's desiring himself to come into this world? And then Babaji is replying, yes, the Vedas mention it in several places. The Talavankara or Kena Upanishad relates a dialogue between Uma and Mahendra, Sri Shivji, which describes how once a fierce battle took place between the Devatas and the Asuras. On this occasion, the Asuras were heavily defeated and fled from the battlefield. The Devatas were victorious, although the victory was actually Bhagavan's alone, and the Devatas were only his instruments. However, out of pride and arrogance, The Devatas forgot this and began to boast of their strength and valor. At this point, Parabrahm, Bhagavan, who is the reservoir of mercy, appeared there in a wonderful form and inquired as to the cause of their pride. He then produced a straw and asked them to destroy it. The Devatas were amazed, for the Deva of fire could not burn it, nor could the Deva of wind lift it, despite exerting all their potency and prowess. The Devas were astounded to see Bhagavan's extraordinary beautiful form and wonderful power. Tasmai Turunam Nidadavedyati Tadu Papraya Sarva Javena Tana Shashaka Daghanuma Sa Tat Eva Nivarite Naistad Ashakam Vrignatum Yad Etat Yakshamiti. Kena Upanishad 3:6. That Yaksha, who was actually Bhagavan, put a straw in front of Agni Dev and said, "Let's see your strength. Can you burn this dry straw?" Agni Dev went close to that straw and directed all his powers at it, but he could not burn it. Ashamed, he returned and said to the Devas, "I cannot understand who this Yaksha is." So why is Bhaktivinoda Thakur showing this now? Because we can't understand what we've just read on the previous page about the contradictions within Krishna without Krishna's mercy. It's Krishna's mercy that we are hankering for to appreciate who is Krishna. He will give us the mercy to understand who he is. And the mercy for us will come through Mahaprabhu and through Rupa Goswami and through all our line to at least a little bit begin to appreciate who is this personality of Sri Krishna. The confidential purport of the Vedas is that Bhagavan is an inconceivable, beautiful person. Inconceivable, beautiful person. He appears by his own sweet desire and perform various pastimes in with the jivas. We've described many times this nature of inconceivable mentality or achintya bhav, like that of a child. Children don't have any of the abhiman or the identity of being someone special. Small children, they just are astonished by the world completely at every step. They haven't picked up all that idea of reputation, social behavior, etc. So they're able just to see very clearly and very beautifully with astonishment the world around them. But then it gradually gets eroded through their material education, etc. But that mood of astonishment, that should be cultivated within us. If we're in a very simple state of mind, we'll be astonished by the mercy that comes from our practices, from being with the Vaishnavas, from being with Guru, from chanting, from the Shastra. We'll be constantly astonished by the gifts that Shastra in particular is imparting to us and the realization that the Vaishnavas give us. Right now, there's a beautiful devotee, Avadut Maharaj, Bhaktivedanta Avadut Maharaj, on the other side of the river here. He's got cancer from his ear out. His whole face is all gouged away. He's taking not a drop of medicine. Maybe he's taking a bit of ivermectin only to increase his appetite. But he hasn't complained at all the whole time. And he's taking zero medication. And his mind is absolutely crystal clear, sharp as a tack. So the devotees, we can admire the qualities of this personality who gave his life for Srila Prabhupada in the very, very early days, went to Australia, did so many active, never stopped distribute. He even got a bent back because of carrying a book bag for so many years. These are great saintly personalities, and we can take great inspiration from these types of personalities, what they've done in their lives to offer their existence to their spiritual master, which is what he's done. And then later on, he came to our Gurudev and offered the same. So the devotees always take inspiration from the Vaishnavas in this way. Vrajanath. Bhagavan has been called an ocean of rasa. Is this described anywhere in the Vedas? Now, this chapter is now coming under the title of Rasabdim. Previously, in the Amnaya Shloka, Amnaya Praha Tattvam Iha Paramam Sarva Shaktim. We've dealt with Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead in chapter 13. And now we've completely dived into Sarva Shaktim in all these pages in the 14th chapter. Now we're going to go to the next Prameya, the Rasabdim. Now this chapter has two divisions. There's two Prameyas going to be described. So now we're just going to enter into the Rasabdim, into the rasa aspect of the truth of Krishna. Babaji, it is clearly stated in the Taittiriya Upanishad 2.7, Yad vai tat sukritam raso vaisa, rasam hi evadyam labdhavana anadi bhavati, ko hi evanyat ka pranayat, yad esha akash anodo na syat, esha hi evan nan dayati. Parabrahm, Paramatma, is the Sukrita Brahm, the very handsome, supreme spirit. His Swarup is unalloyed rasa, and when the jiva realizes this rasa Swarup, Parabrahm, he becomes full of ananda. Who would endeavor to live if that undivided reality were not the embodiment of ananda in the form of rasa? Paramatma alone gives bliss to all. Paramatma alone gives bliss to all. So this will be opened out and explained. Brajanath, if he is Rasa Swarup, why can't the materialist see or comprehend him? So if he's full of rasa, why can't the materialists see that? If he's so beautiful, why can't they also catch that spirit of beauty within the form of Krishna? Because they can't. Because we know when Krishna manifests as himself, like on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, how many people understood that that was Krishna, the embodiment of all rasa? Bhishma Dev understood something. Arjuna, of course, the Pandavas, the eternal associates, understood something. But for the rest, most didn't. So he's asking this question. Babaji, there are two types of conditioned jivas. Those who are turned away from Krishna, parak, and those who are facing Krishna, pratyak. Jivas in the parak state cannot see Krishna's beauty because they are opposed to him. They only see and think about material things. Jivas in the pratyak state are opposed to Maya and favorable to Krishna, so they can see Krishna's rasa swarup. It is said in the Katha Upanishad. So obviously, if you're opposed to Krishna, it's like if you don't like somebody, for example, you're not going to see their good qualities, are you? I think I ought to open this window a bit. It's getting hot. Is that going to be too loud? Be all right. Yes, if you have some problem with somebody, you're not going to be able to see their good qualities very easily. You're just going to try and dwell on the Mayic aspect of that person. Whereas if you have equipoised vision and you can see the good qualities, then they're going to find so many good qualities within that person. Depends how you look, right? So basically, it's saying like that in the paragraph. The parak and the pratyak. These aren't. Yeah, it's vimuk, turning away from Krishna. It's just another word. Paranshikani ritnit swayam bus tasmat paran pashyati nantaratmam kaschid dira pratyag atmanam aikshad avrita chakshur amritavam ichan. The self-born Parameshwara has made all the senses so that they tend towards external objects. Isn't this true? Our senses are just rushing to material objects through the windows of the mind. That is why the jiva normally perceives only external objects through his senses and is unable to see Bhagavan situated within his heart. Very simple, isn't it? If we look internally, but we're so busy creating our various agendas in the external world, we don't have time to actually reflect internally and see Sri Krishna residing within the heart. We tend to get scattered and move into the material realm too much, pushed by the pressure of society, etc., friends, to be a normal, rational, sensible person in a very unrational, unnormal world. We live in a world of fools and idiots, really and truly. I mean, why would you want to chop all the forests down on the planet? Why would you want to pollute the oceans? Why would you want to commit so many atrocities on the earth? They're either demonic or completely foolish to go along with it. So trying to shore up our reputation in connection with those, with society generally, is, there's an expression, I can't think of it, but trying to be normal in a completely unnormal world is basically the impression. Oops. Yeah. How are we doing for time? We've gone over our time already. So yes, that is why the jiva normally perceives only external objects through his senses and is unable to see Bhagavan situated within his heart. Only a grave and resolute person, Dhira, who desires liberation in the form of love for Krishna. There's a distinction. Liberation in the form of love for Krishna, not liberation from the material suffering. If you're liberated from the material suffering only, what will you be left with? Just Nirvishesh Brahm. We want to be liberated from this material world so that we can more successfully engage in Krishna's service. We want to be liberated from the attachment to our material senses seeking enjoyment here. That's what the only thing we want to be liberated from, which is within our grasp. If we disdain towards the material objects of indulgence materially, then we will be detached from this world completely. And then we can give our full attachment to serving the lotus feet of our Guru Vargya and Krishna. Only a grave and resolute person, Dhira, who desires liberation in the form of love of Krishna, can disengage his ears and other senses from external objects and see the Pratyag Atma, Sri Bhagavan. So we'll stop there today. So the next question that we'll just look at it, Brajanath. Who is the one who has been called the embodiment of rasa in the sloka Raso Vaisa? So this is going to get more into the rasa tattva aspect in the last portion of this chapter, which is extremely beautiful. So I think we'll finish this in the next few days before our Navadvip Parikrama begins. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai. Jaiva Dharma ki jai. Gaur Premanandi. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur ki jai, Jaiva Dharma ki jai, Gaur Premanandi, Hari Bol.